Hi, welcome to the Discovery Doc podcast. We're your hosts,
Dr. CeCe, functional medicine nurse practitioner and self-proclaimed toxin tamer.
and I'm Anna Kate, your medical mystery overachiever, and we've got some really cool stuff to talk about in our next series and session of videos if you're watching us on YouTube and also on Podcast Land. So wherever you listen to podcasts, there we are. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is very cool. It's kind of
We're
wild,
there.
actually.
We're there.
We are there and present.
So talking about being there and being present, these next couple of episodes are all going to be about back to school and immune system building and boosting and maintaining and all the things.
All the good things, yes. All the things health and wellness. I think it's really important for us to obviously focus on kiddos, but everybody else who is surrounded by germ bag kiddos. So all the family members, adults, parents, whoever, I think health and wellness at this point in the year is extremely important for everybody.
What are you doing? They bring it home. Okay, before
Stay away.
Stay far away. So before we get into that, what's in your cup? I want to know what's in your cup. You don't have to tell me all the things, but just tell me.
Oh no, I have what's my mushroom coffee? Mud water.
Yeah.
Mud water with a little bit of almond milk creamer and just some ice.
Yum.
And that's it. Oh wait, no, I did actually put a little tiny bit of, I have this collagen protein that has some vitamin C in it as well. And a little bit weird, I know, but of green tea extract because today I just need all the caffeine.
All the feels.
All the caffeine.
It's been one of those days.
It has been one of those days. Y'all, it's taken us 2 hours to get here.
Yeah, we're here. We're here. This is where we're at.
It's been a day.
Yeah. So, Mud Water is not a sponsor, but I'm glad that you like it for your body. And if Mud Water, you're out there and would like to sponsor this podcast, we're happy to have a conversation about it. Because it is something that she uses and gets behind. So we're good with that.
We do.
And then I have lemon, ginger, like actual lemon and a slice of ginger and immune support tea. So in mine, I like to.
She's a tea girl.
I am.
I'm not a tea girl. I'm a tea girl when I'm sick, but not like an everyday teer.
Yeah. If I drink coffee, then that's all I'm drinking all day long.
Yeah.
And then I don't eat food, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Either. So I have to kind of find that balance. And then when it gets colder, I will go back to having raw cacao.
Oh,
in the morning.
I was like, what? A raw
cow. Yes. Tartar.
I was like, wait, did you see lights like trying to process? I was like, that can't be right. Oh my gosh. Okay, I tried matcha the other day. It's so bitter.
Yeah.
But it was almost good. It was matcha with a little bit of just mashed up, like pure strawberries, just kind of mashed up into a puree. And that cut the bitterness a little bit. But I'm like, how do people drink this?
With lots of oat creamer and almond milk creamer.
And some sort of sweetener or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we digress.
Yes, we digest. We digest.
We digest and digress.
So back to school.
Yes.
You've got your 3 little kiddos going back. Yes. So how do we transition from summertime to back to school and all the things?
I'm going to try not to just cry because Ava and Jackson, so my 2 oldest, 7 and 5, Ava's going into 2nd and Jackson is going into kindergarten and they'll be at the same school. We do a homeschool hybrid. So they're at school Mondays and Wednesdays and then they're home Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, which is awesome. But Jada, she will be 2 in October, which is super soon.
That's crazy.
And she will be starting for the first time at a little school just 2 days a week. And this one is weird. I'm like, the other 2, I was like, go.
Please leave.
Please go. And this one, I'm like, wait, am I ready? I don't know if I'm ready. And my husband is like, yeah, we are ready. But anyways, yes, all that to say, we now have 3 kiddos who will be in school or going to school. And for me, I think the biggest part of establishing health and wellness is from the get-go.
Yeah.
Is starting and forming habits early in life. where then by the time kids get to middle school or something, they have already acquired that knowledge and that baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many parents try to start to implement things 6th, 7th, 8th grade on, and they're like, my kids just won't do this. They won't start this. And it can be really hard, to start something new at that point. But catching them from the beginning and really explaining why we do things or what we do to take care of our body is so crucial in our household. And it has really shown me that, as especially Ava, because she's in 2nd grade, and she's just starting to not get influenced by other kids, but see what other kids are doing and notice it, and notice that things might be a little bit different than how we operate. And she's so confident in it. And it's not like an exclusion, like she doesn't feel like she's being excluded from things or she can't do certain things, because we've spent so long trying to just educate her and empower her with the information so that she's like, oh, I want to take care of my body.
Right.
I want to do these things to stay healthy. So that for us is a huge aspect of it. Like, even in the morning, with our baseline supplements that the kids take just for health and wellness, they get them themselves. Yeah, we wake up, we go downstairs, and it's a race between Ava and Jackson as to who can get what supplements. And Ava goes in the pantry and pulls out some. Jackson goes in the fridge and pulls out some. They line them up on the counter.
That's adorable.
And they take them, and then they know which ones to leave out for the baby and which ones to put away. But they get, and they're not even like these amazing sugar-filled gummies. Like, they're not these things that taste like candy. And so for them, it's just, I think, a sense of responsibility. And like, hey, I know what this is good for. And like the other day, Jackson took some vitamin D and he goes, Mommy, this makes my immune system strong. And even though he's 5, even though he might not fully understand what an immune system is, the fact that he was like proud that he could say that and know what it was for.
Sweet baby.
Yeah. It just makes it so different versus when you come at them like, hey, no, you have to take this.
Right.
Like, come here, take this right now. So yeah, I think our biggest thing from the beginning was education, and not making it feel like we're just telling them what to do, but I'll be like, hey, babies, this makes our brain healthier, like put in very simplistic terms.
Right.
Or this helps us build strong bones. Or, hey, you guys love to play t-ball and play or do gymnastics. This helps your muscles, just heal and recover. And as they learn that, you can see the pride that they take in taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. So,
well, and that knowledge is power, and that they understand even on, I mean, we grew up with, hey, you have to eat your vegetables. Like, cause I mean, I was addicted to carrots when I was little because the vitamin A was supposed to make my eyes better.
Yeah.
Like, so I got on a carrot kick. I have wore glasses since I was 2 and then had LASIK several years ago. So I don't have to have them anymore. Yeah. But like, when I learned that, I was all about it. Yeah. Could not get me to eat spinach. No way, no how.
But give me some carrots.
Give me carrots. I love them. Like, it's what sticks in the brain and all the things. And, I think that having them know what it's helping. So when they know and are in tune with their body, and they can correlate to, oh, I didn't have my vitamin D for a couple of days, or for whatever reason, and know what's happening in their body to know what the difference is. And I love that they leave out Jada's vitamins for her.
I know, it's super cute. And all that to say is sometimes it's not reasonable to, like, sometimes people have older kids where you can't backtrack and turn back time. And so when it comes to my patients who have older kids and establishing that routine, I put the responsibility on the kid. When there's a parent and a kid, let's say it's a really mature, even 10-year-old, 10, 11, 12-year-old, I will look at that patient and say, hey, you are old enough now to take responsibility of your body. Like, yes, your parents have to supply you with the proper nutrients and the proper food and, purchasing those supplements. But you, as a mature 10, 11, 12-year-old, you need to take responsibility and say, hey, I want to be the best version of myself. And if that means taking X, Y, and Z because it does X, Y, and Z,
right,
then I need you to take responsibility for that. So I'll actually put that on the patient, because when you trust kids with that knowledge, they do feel so much more empowered versus a 16-year-old who's just being told what to do by their parent. They immediately want to go to being like, no,
right.
I'm good.
I'm done. Thanks. No, I
Yeah.
missed it. I woke up too late for school, or I didn't do it.
Right. But when we entrust them, or at least give them the opportunity to kind of take charge and responsibility of certain aspects in their life, I think that just changes the dynamics a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of how they want to approach their health. Or it's just about navigating what's important to them.
Right.
Let's say it's a 16-year-old basketball player. Okay, you love basketball, but are you doing the proper things to repair your body, to help your body heal, to, pump your body full of nutrient dense foods? At the end of the day, that's not all up to your parents. They can give you that information, but if you're not implementing it, then,
right,
what are you doing?
And you and Will. So if you haven't listened to our introductory podcast on where we got to talk to Will, who is a world-class athlete, please go back and listen to that. But they show their kids that as athletes in their everyday life of how they need to feed themselves for nutrition. And I think that, even as us growing up, that it was, a smoothie for breakfast and then off to school. And it's like, if there's lunch, because you didn't really want to eat hot lunch because it was okay, but it wasn't like the best thing. And then, okay, am I having like a protein bar or whatever, which was not enough food, or like a bag of crackers or something. No water. Oh,
who drinks water throughout the day at school?
So we would do this thing. We used to sit in front of the office, me and my group of girls, and we would always have a bottle of water. And we got into chugging a bottle of water every day at the end of lunch. So we'd eat our lunch and have whatever, and then we'd all have full bottles of water, and we'd drink them all as soon as we got done with lunch. And that was it probably wasn't any. I mean, it was probably like purified water, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that one day. But it was some sort of hydration, but we were all doing it together. Yeah. And so at least we had,
challenge.
That. Yeah. So, but as we were all playing soccer, basketball, volleyball, all the things, and there's no way I had enough to eat as a high schooler.
Oh, I look back at my high school years. Yeah. And I'm like, how did I do anything?
Yeah.
I'm like, I definitely did not fuel my body at all. Like waking up for 5 a.m. practices, I would eat nothing. I would go right to school, eat nothing until lunch, where maybe I'd grab like a French fry. Mm-hmm. Just like, how do you survive? That's wild.
That explains a lot about us, doesn't it?
It does. Lots of changes along the way.
Yes.
But we will talk more about food in the next episode. I do want to dive into supplements. I get a lot of questions about, hey, what supplements do you use as daily maintenance, or in this time of kind of back to school fluvid. I call it fluvid season.
Yeah.
COVID and flu, because it's just all the things.
It's the new common cold.
Right. I should coin that term, fluvid.
Trademark,
calling it. Is that how that works? Because I get a lot of questions just about maintenance. So some things that I give my kids as kind of the baseline is always a great multivitamin. And these are the bane of my existence. Multivitamins, I have such a problem with so many of them because they either have really garbage ingredients, they have tons of sugar, the dosages are terrible, or they have forms of the vitamin that aren't as bioavailable that I would want them to be in. So we all are genetic mutations. Like we all are just mutants. And a lot of people have gotten obsessed with MTHFR. That is, it's like turned into the Kim Kardashian of genes because people just have become obsessed with it. But there are so many other genetic SNPs. That's one of them. It's very important, but that's one of them. So I tend to treat my own kids and myself and all my patients as if we are mutants. I want us to be taking the most bioavailable forms of the vitamins so that no matter what you have going on genetically or what you have going on within your immune system or whatever, you are more likely to absorb that vitamin and to pull it into your cells. So that tends to mean either liposomal forms, where there's things like phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylserine that are pulling that vitamin or mineral into the cell, or the methylated versions of especially B vitamins, or of folate, like tetrahydrofolate, versus folic acid. Folic acid is a synthetic version, where tetrahydrofolate is the already activated version. Same thing with like methylcobalamin versus cyanocobalamin. That's B12. Methylcobalamin is it's already turned on.
Yeah.
So what that means is when we take it orally, we don't have to take this little thing called a methyl group and add it to the vitamin to activate it.
Right.
Because some people can't do that. So when we take it, it's just already available to us. Our cells can pull on it, utilize it how we need, and move on. So I'm a huge stickler when it comes to the products that I use because of that, in terms of dosages and ingredients, as well as the forms of the vitamins.
So before you go on to your next point, I just want to point out that there are fat soluble vitamins and water soluble, and how you get them. And if you feel like you're taking them in a multivitamin, but they're not they're fat soluble.
So close.
Soluble vitamin.
She nailed it.
Yes. If you're not getting those, like if you have been taking them, but they don't do anything, then you just have really expensive pee.
Exactly.
So don't do that.
Exactly.
Figure out what you need, and they're not. So the other question I do want to ask you is, because you have me on some liposomal things, and I just stick it in a big spoon and take it that way
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a way that is like, I know, like, you remember the little kids things that you would pour into, and it has a little scoop on the end, and it had the measurement in it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your favorite ones of those for adults?
I don't have one.
Let's find you one. So, because I know that other
I eyeball things. That's not appropriate, but I eyeball them.
Well,
I'm like, it's a teaspoon. Here's a squirt.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to squirt the thing in my mouth. I mean, I could, I guess.
I do.
But okay,
my kids line up and I go squirt, squirt, squirt. This is not medical advice. Do not do that.
Yes. Okay, so let's measure it out. And if we were going to measure it out, what would that look like?
Someone else needs to come in with a expert opinion.
So discoverers, let us know. What do you use to get your kids to take liquid vitamins and medications and kind of all of that thing? I want to know for personal things.
Yes, because I'm not kidding. My kids line up and we just go squirt, squirt, squirt. That looks good. I'm not kidding. Anyways.
Otherwise, I'll spill it all over myself. But there are different. So to my point, there are different forms of a vitamin. If it's not the right kind of vitamin D, right? If it's from a subpar source, or it's combined with something else that you don't want it to, it's not going to do what you need it to do. So
don't waste your money on it is the point.
Right.
So for multis, for example, there are only two I would tolerate a third. There's two right now that I like for my kids at the ages that they are.
Flintstone vitamins.
No.
Oh.
Hard. Do those even exist still?
I don't know.
I took those as a kid.
I did too.
And look how I turned out.
Explains a lot.
Explains a lot. Yeah, exactly. Intrakid by Drucker Labs is one of them. Drucker Labs is, even for adults, Intramax, one of my favorite comprehensive multivitamins because it makes life easy. It has every bioavailable form that we need and pretty much every single vitamin that we need. With the Intrakid, it's a little deficient in vitamin D for me, so I do like to add vitamin D. But it has, all of your vitamins, all of your minerals, all of your aminos, your trace aminos, all of your omegas, and it's food sourced. So there are just powerful antioxidants in it too. So it is literally an all-in-one stop shop. So I use that as my staple. And again, I add in a little extra vitamin D. That dosage depends on the age, of course. But with the liquid, it's easy because I do prefer liquid vitamin Ds. They tend to be a little bit more bioavailable than the capsules. And so I'll just take a couple drops, put it in the cap of the Intrakid, which is already liquid, and my kids will drink it.
How does it taste?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the kid one is good.
Okay.
There's an adult, so the Intramax, there's unflavored, and then there's like a mango flavor. The unflavored is tolerable.
That's the one that I've had before.
It tastes like Yeah, it tastes like vitamins and minerals. You got to take it back like a shot and just forget about it. But the mango one is good.
Okay.
Like even my kids will drink that one. But for kids who don't like multis that are or liquid in general, there is one gummy on the planet, one that I would suggest because of dosages, because of ingredients, because it doesn't have any added sugars, and that is Ultra Preventative Gummy by Douglas Labs. That can be given to kids, adults. It just you change the dosage of the gummy depending on the age.
Okay.
So I'll alternate between those. Again, always adding in a little extra vitamin D. And then I always have something, and this is just baseline. The other two things are I always have something on board for gut health. I will cycle between something like Mega IgG, which I'll talk about in a second, as well as a probiotic. And the probiotic, a rule of thumb for me is rotation. So a lot of us are creatures of habit, and we just grab the same probiotic over and over and over again. But the point is we want to diversify the gut microbiome. So we really want to look at the back of the bottle, and you can go to Sprouts, you can go to Good Nutrition, to wherever, you can go on Full Script, and we want to look at the strains of the good bacteria. And you can take that bottle for a month, and then the next month we want to find one that has a little bit differing of those probiotic strains, of those good bacteria strains, so that we're diversifying the gut microbiome instead of feeding it the same
thing.
Yes, over and over and over again. In a perfect world, I also like a spore-based probiotic to be in there, because spore-based, something like Saccharomyces boulardii, good luck spelling that. I have to Google it every time.
What?
Yeah. When I put it on treatment
I'm not
plans,
saying that word. I'm
when I
sorry.
put it on treatment plans, I can say it, I cannot spell it, and I literally go on Google and I start typing Saccharomyces boulardii. And I start typing it, and then I'll copy and paste it because I just cannot spell it. So I will not spell it for you guys.
Sacrobardi. What? What? I'm gonna
Sacrobardi.
I'm gonna start calling everything like I call Brother Durfree burger and fries, because that's how I remember
That's how she is. Swiss cheese.
Yep, Swiss cheese.
Refer back to previous episodes for that referral.
Yes.
Saccharomyces
boulardii.
Boulardii.
I got that.
You got that. I'm going to quiz
Saccharomyces boulardii. I can't spell it. I can say it now. Sounds like a good Italian name.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
So spore-based probiotics are a little bit different because they are stronger in nature. They can withstand the stomach acid and get down to the small intestine, where they can help to release endotoxins. So they are much stronger. So some kids, if they have had previous GI issues, you cannot give them go to the full dose. You got to start small, or low dose for some humans. But it just works differently. It really gets the small intestine to release those endotoxins like we want. So in a perfect world, I like to bring in a spore-based. There is Megaspore Biotic by Microbiome Labs. It's wonderful, and they have a gummy version actually that I really like. Otherwise, you can open capsules of those and give them to kids or adults. You can take a full capsule of it. I like Restore Flora by Microbiome Labs as well. There's a ton out there.
So diversify. Make sure that you've got one that is
just rotating strains.
Yeah.
So I have 3 in rotation, where I'll have my kids on one month, one the next month, one the next month, and I just cycle through. It depends on the stage of where the kiddo is at. If they like chewables, I like Therabiotic Children's Chewable by Claire Labs. There is also, there's so many options, like powders. Seeking Health has a great Probiota Infant, or Claire Labs has a Therabiotic Infant as well. That's a powder. And then you can get into capsules. There's so many, but I like to rotate through to diversify the gut microbiome. With maintenance, health maintenance, kind of the last thing that I keep on board. InterKid has enough fish oil or omega-3s. Sometimes I'll go in and out of bringing more omega-3s in the form of like cod liver oil.
Yum.
I know. It sounds so good, right? My kids love that. They're like, they do complain about that one because it's liquid, but I'll put it in the InterKid and they won't taste it. Okay. It's if they have it on the own, it's slimy and yucky.
It's a texture thing.
It's a texture thing. I get it. Is I like to rotate between mitochondrial health and detox. So we are so preventative in my house that I haven't really needed to ever put my kids on a true detox protocol. Other people have to do that. So this doesn't suffice for that, but it is a good rotation to make sure you're supporting your kid with all of the toxins that we're exposed to every single day. Right. So I go through, this might be something that you're on, liposomal catalyst.
Yes.
By Bio.
I'm gonna show y'all in a minute or not show you, but I'll tell you how I take it in a minute.
And that is an awesome comprehensive mitochondrial support. With all the toxins that we're exposed to, it can really damage our mitochondrial function. And those are the powerhouses of our cells. If you go back to like high school biology, the mitochondria are the powerhouses. They make our ATP. They fuel our body with sources of energy. And so as those break apart, we lose that ATP. So for me, it's very important in health and wellness to just support that. So that liposomal catalyst is an awesome supplement to do so. It has things like PQQ, phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine, transresveratrol, NAC, you name it. It's awesome. I'll rotate between that. It's also liquid.
I'm glad I'm taking it.
Yeah, it's really good. And then I'll do something gentle like glutathione, a liposomal glutathione, or N-acetylcysteine on its own. There are also great products, liquid form from BioRay, that I'll cycle through sometimes, like NDF Happy and NDF Calm. Those are both very gentle for kids to remove unwanted organisms through the liver and help open the detox pathways. So again, I'm not giving my kids all these all at the same time. Like I rotate through one of those mitochondrial or one of the detox. Mm-hmm. Like I might take a month off and not give them one of those, and I might cycle back in. But with just how much we're exposed to, I think that's very important.
Just kind of your basis.
Just my baseline. Yeah, that's my baseline. And it changes a little bit in this era in terms of going back to school specifically for adults or kids. There are some other things that I would recommend.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Yeah.
Don't touch your face.
I touch my face as I just touched my face. Yeah. I touch my face all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of supplementation, that core baseline is awesome. Like that will do you a lot of good. But I would up vitamin D, I would up vitamin C, and I would get something on board specifically for white blood cells and helping to fight off anything, especially viral thing that might come your way. So there's two products that I really like for that. One is Verakid by Orthomolecular Products, and they have an adult version called Veracid. And then there's a product by Microbiome Labs called Megaviron, Viron. And any of those, the Verakid is chewable. So you can, you can crush it up and give it to an infant, or you can have, a little kid actually chew it up. They're kind of labeled as natural antivirals, but they really do a good job of telling your natural killer cells to work a little bit better, to pumping up your white blood cells to just be a little bit stronger while fighting off actively anything that might be coming your way. So I kind of like my baseline mixed with one of those like white blood cell amplifier / antiviral supplements when we talk about health and wellness at this time in space and this time of the year with supplements specifically.
Very cool.
So get on.
Get on it. Get on it. So here's the
going.
Here's the cool thing. So she did tell us a lot about what kids can be on and what adults can be on. So if you're not boosting your immune system and you're going out of the house or having these snot goblins come into your home, do something about it. Protect yourself.
It's so accurate.
Make sure. I mean, and then they pass it around. So if you've got little ones at home that don't go to school, and just have the routine. So.
Oh, wait, call on me.
You.
One other thing. Colloidal silver.
Oh yeah, that goes on everything.
Yeah,
it's like Pete's hot. It's like Frank's red hot sauce.
You're full of great analogies right now. I love this. Argintin 23 is my favorite. I keep it in the house at all times for sniffles. You can take it internally or orally. You can have a little teaspoon. Kids can have a little teaspoon. I mean, 3 times a day. You can apply it topically. You can spray it in the nose, spray it in the mouth. That is an awesome, also preventative to as a natural antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. Okay, proceed.
Well, Argentin also comes in a like a gel, so bump scrapes, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Also, if and you can tell me how you feel about this. It would take a brand new little bottle with a dropper, but for any
Eyeballs.
eye,
Yes.
like-
Okay, funny story about that. My poor kid. So I think I told you Ava had gnarly pink eye from, she went to a camp at the church down the street, and they had all these water toys and water slides and whatever. She comes home the first day, and I mean, I thought it was almost like cellulitis. Her eye was super swollen. I mean, just bad pink eye. And my mom comes up and just sprays her in the face with silver, with Argentine
Nice.
23. And we did that. We did chamomile, like tea bags. Chamomile tea bags, you heat them up just like a normal, you're making tea, let it cool down a little bit. Obviously, the eyelids are thin. You let it sit there. It helps to pull out the infection really well.
Nice.
And then I always say this name wrong, but there are Semmelsen. I'm going to say it really fast.
Yes.
There's homeopathy eye drops that are available everywhere. I mean, Target, Publix, you name it. It's like Samuelson. There's an extra S and L in there somewhere, but I can never say it right.
Samuelson.
It's something like that.
You've seen it before.
You've seen it. You know what it is. It has, and then it's pink eye relief, and it's just homeopathy, and it took care of it. But the silver, we did the silver spray. I mean, 3-4 times a day.
Yeah,
cleared it up.
Silver comes in lots of things, so it's a good thing to have on hand for all cures what ails you kind of a thing. But it's always good to have if you've got a scrape or anything. Just go to town with it. You're not going to turn. Remember that guy that turned blue because he lived in a place that had silver and something, and so it's not quite that extreme. You're not using it that much, but it's a good thing to have on hand. But here's where because she's giving me a lot of these things to take and get me sorted out. But have your supplements not only for you, but also for your kids in a place that makes it convenient. Yes. That you'll do it every day or every time that you need to take it. So several things that I have is I have my mitochondrial support and my pure omegas, and I have them sitting where I can put them in a spoon in the morning. I do that, and then I go over to the fridge and I do my liquid vitamins and my nose sprays. And then I go into my laundry room and I do my what are they called? Nootropics. Yeah, evidently I need more.
Take them today.
My nootropics, and then my iron, and I have all of that. So, and then I have things that I take before I go to bed, like my blood thinners, and I have all of that. But I only take that at a specific time, so I have it in a different place. So set it up to where you don't have the excuse not to do it. So if you're getting kids into the car, have them in your car. Don't keep them there in the summertime, depending on what it is. But if it's if it's, you do them for the week, have them in the car. Have them hey, we get in the car and we do our chewable vitamins. Whatever it is.
Whatever your routine is.
Yeah, and make it work for you.
That. Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying earlier, our routine, we come downstairs in the morning. My husband, bless his soul, he starts cooking breakfast. So then I overlook the kids getting their supplements. And I something that I also tell them is, because they will like the taste of them.
And they'll take too much.
And I have to tell them, hey, even though this isn't a medication, we still can't take too much of this. This is all that we can take, and this is the appropriate amount.
Yep.
Ava this morning, I have the kids on NDF Happy right now, and Ava got Jada's, and Jada's, almost 2, and so I give her only 0.25 of a mil. And Ava puts a little dropper in and she goes, "Mommy, is this right?" And it was right at 0.25. And I was like, "Yeah." And then she just feeds it to Jada.
Oh, so cute.
Takes overlooking, but that's our routine. The kids come downstairs, Will's cooking breakfast. I'm starting to get lunches or snacks ready or water bottles or whatever it is for school. The kids are getting their supplements. When the kids weren't old enough to get them themselves, then that was my job.
Yeah.
I came down right away, got their supplements out, said, "Here, take this. Here, take this." do a drive-by by Will, take this.
Yeah.
And that's
just throw it in there.
That's just part of my responsibility.
Right.
So that worked for us. But I think, yes, to your point, the biggest thing is finding the routine that works where it's sustainable and manageable. And even so, it is better to get some of this stuff on board 3 times a week. Like, don't
stress about
overthink.
it.
Yeah, don't stress about it. If it's 3 times a week, great. That's 3 times more than last week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it can still help. It's like there's sometimes where we go out of town. I don't bring anything when we go out of town. I'm like, I'm not carrying that stuff,
Yeah.
Or like the weekend comes and we get out of our routine and the kids don't take it, which is not true because at this point the kids are like, I'm going to go get my vitamins. I'm going to go downstairs. And I'm like, okay.
They're sweet babies.
But there definitely are times where we're not as routine with it, and that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. There are other aspects to health and wellness that I think are important too, and that is physically taking care of yourself. Physically detoxing, I should say. It's not really detoxing, but certain modalities that to me are pertinent in our household to keep on board.
Yeah.
And for our kids, we have them choose. So like Sunday again, everybody needs different detoxing. There are patients of mine who need to be doing these things 3 times a week because they're in an active detox protocol. With my house, it is strictly just maintaining wellness. So this can look different with timing depending on the house and what that individual needs. But for us, on Sundays, we're like, all right, babies, pick something. These are your options and pick something to take care of your body. We have Epsom salt baths, infrared sauna, and then a pulse table.
Can I do all 3 every day, all the time?
I know. Perks of having a medical practice with 2 of these things.
Yes.
But those are the options. And the kids they've learned to understand what each one does to their body and how they feel after it. And so they'll choose. And so it's my guidance of, hey, these are the options that we have for today. What would you like to do? What do you feel like your body is needing at this time?
Right.
And again, it empowers them to make that decision where they're not miserable going to do this thing because mommy's making them.
Right.
But they're a little bit different. Epsom salt baths are the gentlest. Is that a word?
Yeah.
The most gentle?
Yes.
The gentlest. In terms of pulling out, just opening up detox pathways and pulling out toxins a little bit. People don't really herx from doing Epsom salt baths because it's that gentle. So it's if someone does have things going on, it's really not going to stir them up enough where then you feel bad afterwards. So it's very, very gentle. That's why I love it for kids and also for patients who are really sensitive to detoxing. But that's a totally different conversation because then we need binding agents and all that fun stuff.
Well, we'll do an episode on that.
We'll get there. And then infrared sauna, I like infrared better than a traditional sauna because infrared heats you up from the inside out. It impacts your cells and penetrates your cells at a much deeper level than a traditional sauna. And you can feel the difference. When you're in a traditional sauna, you feel like you're sweating from the outside. Like it starts, it heats up and it's that moisture and then you start sweating. When we go in an infrared sauna, you truly feel it from the inside out. And it's vibrating those cells at a different wavelength to bring them back to a state of healing. So awesome for inflammation, awesome for just cell regeneration and cardiovascular system and just muscle healing and all that, especially post-workout, etc. So they, even at their age, obviously you have to be conscientious of the degree. So not like an adult, they don't go in at 120, 125, 130 degrees. They're at my kids are used to it. So again, this is not for everybody. But my kids will tolerate about 110.
Yeah.
And they know their bodies. Sometimes after 10 minutes, they're like, all right, mommy, I'm good. And sometimes 25 minutes in, they're like, okay.
Can I do it again?
Yeah. They're like, can I stay in? And I'm like, let's come out. It's been a good 30-minute session here.
Let's take a break.
But it's just interesting to see that they know how their bodies feel. And you don't want to get them to the point of feeling depleted. But they're also really good about taking minerals and just drinking a lot of water and stuff. But they know how much their body needs at that moment. And it's a great recovery tool and a great detox tool. Pulse bed is a different species. PEMF is awesome. Not all beds are created equally, though. There are so many on the market, and you can get some off Amazon, and I don't have any connection to any of those or advice for any of those,
Mm-hmm.
because the only one I have just experience with is from Pulse Centers down in South Georgia. And I chose them because of the literature that they have behind their company. And that technology can heal bone. I mean, they literally have studies behind it where there's a broken femur x-ray day 1, day 9, that bone is completely healed. And you see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it in patients. We see it. I mean, Will's used it when he's had previous, sports related injuries, and he's able to compete 5 days later after tearing something in his shoulder because he laid on pulse for 4 days.
And you can feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it.
It's one of those that you get on and you feel it, and then you have the access to turn it up as you need to, and as your body tolerates, and not tolerate in a bad way. It's just your body adjusts to that frequency, and then it's like you kind of don't feel it anymore, so you turn it up a little bit more.
And that's really important because we all have different levels of inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us can only tolerate it at a very low level and will feel it pretty intensely. And so you don't want it right at that high intense level. You want to go right under it. And then once you become used to it, then you turn it up a little bit. So I mean, the kids, again, aren't injured, but to me, with that kind of healing power behind it, it's like, imagine then what it does for inflammation and nerve healing and just globally.
And they're all little athletes, all 3 of them. I mean, even the baby.
Oh my gosh, I think.
Okay, y'all.
She's got back muscles bigger than me, okay?
She gets on that, and she's trying to do what her 2 older siblings are doing, so I don't blame her, but she's going to outpace them here shortly. But she's just like hanging from a bar and doing toe touch it, like perfectly in perfect form. Old. Yeah, she's nuts. So what? Olympic hopeful for something one of these days. I'm sure.
We'll see what.
It doesn't matter. She can do whatever she wants.
True. Amen to that. But yeah, that's something that I think is awesome as a healing modality for patients. But then in terms of just wellness, why not?
Yeah.
It's
overall optimal living.
Yes, exactly.
And what does that entail and all the things? And I have a infrared sauna mat that I used when I was my sickest, when I just could not move. Like I would live on it, even at a low, just it would keep me warm.
Yeah.
And now even my senior dog, when I have it on, she'll go and lay on it.
Yes.
So, like I'll get up and they all go to the mat.
Wait, yes. We have a biomat, which is an infrared mat as well, with little amethyst in it. And the dogs gravitate towards it. Yeah, you're so right. I've totally forgot about that.
They absolutely love it. And then if you don't sweat, going into the infrared sauna, she and I don't sweat. I mean, we'll be
I'm a bad sweater.
We'll be out on the beach and it's 97 degrees and it's like,
which you know what that means? We're bad detoxers.
Bad detoxers, which is why we do these other modalities. Yeah. But I do find that when I'm consistently using my sauna, that I tend to sweat easier when I'm out because my pathways are open and my body's used to it.
But. Yeah, I will get in there. I mean, if I haven't used it in a long time and I get in there, I mean, I'll be sitting in there for 20 minutes before I even start to break a sweat. And I'm like, well, I guess my time just started because I just started sweating. But then if I'm using it consistently for a few weeks and I have it at the highest temperature before I get in, right? If it's just warming up, I can justify that. But then by a couple minutes in, I'm sweating well. Yeah. So it definitely does change over time. I have a question for you.
I hopefully have a good answer.
So everything that I've said thus far is really focused on prevention and maintenance. In our household, we are blessed at this current space in life to none of us are dealing with chronic symptoms.
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
Oh, gosh.
We are striving.
What a wonderful world.
I know. So I think which is a very important aspect, right? And some people might be able to relate to that, but some people have a different perspective of what health maintenance is. And I think ours at our space in lives in lives, plural, in life individually, are a little bit different right now. So how does that look to you? What things I know, and disregard what you are kind of taking from the protocols that we just put you on, because that's chronic stuff.
Right.
What do you do in daily life to help make you feel the best?
So that's a great question. It changes. It's different. I mean, and I know that we'll talk about this. We're going to talk about this in our next session, but sleep is absolutely important to me in managing what I eat. Because when I get tired and like, I don't want to eat anything.
Yeah.
Like, especially around my cycle, and that, like, there are days that I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to smell anything. I don't want to touch anything. And then like, I want to eat everything in sight 2 days later. And the things that I choose are comfort foods like popcorn and pulling out cookies, and like,
she makes the best cookies, y'all. She brought me homemade gluten-free chocolate chip and oatmeal cookies, and I've already eaten 2. So
they're
last
they're
time
good.
I ate 6. We're gonna
Yeah. I don't know if I should bring her that many.
None made it home to my kids. She brought them to me at work and brought a container, probably 8, and 6 of them were gone. And I was like, well,
that's okay. But they're good. They're gluten-free.
They're so good.
I mean, and okay, so I do eat things that are more like healthier things for me. I did have gummy bears yesterday and got glutened.
Oh,
because I did not turn and learn, because I'm like, there's no way. But yes, gummy bears.
Yum Earth gummy bears is what you need then if you want gummy bears.
And I know that.
Yeah.
Yum Earth makes great
candy.
Mm-hmm. So
your biggest thing is sleep, like routine sleep, and what you're consuming.
Yeah, and just making sure that I'm on top of that, and not too much caffeine, and you know, and managing my stress. That even a positive form of stress, like working out or whatever, causes me to lose a day. So I'm not quite to the place where I can do a workout, which is restorative and beneficial for my muscles and my bones and all of that, because it just takes it out of me. So it's, do I work? Do I clean the house? Do I do laundry? It's one or the other.
So managing energy, managing stress, sleep, and your food intake. Yep. Well, I think that's an awesome segue into our next episode where we're going to tackle all of these things, actually. So thank you guys for joining us. And we are super excited to continue this conversation into all things health and wellness. We have some awesome guests in this series as well. We have a fantastic chiropractor and a medical doctor who is an integrative physician and specializes in craniosacral therapy. So we're super excited to share our conversations with them. But for now, stay tuned to kind of the second half of this convo.
Yeah. And let us know what we've covered, if you've taken any of those things or have questions. Also, let us know what we may not have been exposed to, something that your family really loves, and the routines and that kind of thing. And you can do that. We'll leave links in the show notes of where to share that, Discover or Mail with us. Let us know what you're going through and what else you have questions on as well, because these are big topics. And so I mean, we can go deep and wide on a lot of this stuff. So, and also, if you're on things, do what your medical practitioner has recommended for you, of course. And then anything that you would like to add or make a change to, go and talk to your medical provider about, just to make sure that that's the right thing for you.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you back here at the Discovery.podcast on on all the things. So we're going to talk about food and all of that in our next episode. So stay tuned. Thank you for being here and spending your time with us. Also, tell us what's in your cup. I want to know. I want to know what's in your cup. So, all right, let's go out and
let's discover together.
Let's discover together.
I fell asleep.
The content provided in this podcast provides general information and discussions on various topics related to health, wellness, and medical advancements. However, it is essential to understand that the content provided in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The host, guests, and contributors are individuals sharing their personal experiences, opinions, and knowledge in their respective fields. While they strive to provide accurate, up-to-date information, medical knowledge is constantly evolving, and the information presented in this podcast may not always reflect the most current research and medical guidelines. It is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or medical expert for specific medical concerns. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment based on the information presented in this podcast. The Discovery Doc podcast encourages listeners to use their own judgment and discretion while implementing any suggestions, recommendations, or lifestyle changes discussed in this episode. Each individual's medical situation is unique and may work for one, may not be suitable or safe for another. The podcast hosts, guests, and contributors are not liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, or incidental damages or harm that may arise from listening or acting upon the information provided in this podcast. Listeners are responsible for their own health decisions and should exercise caution and seek professional guidance when necessary. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to this medical disclaimer. If you have any questions or concerns about this medical disclaimer, please consult a qualified healthcare professional.